In this video in response to about 30 negative comments I got regarding how much amperage I was going to attempt to run in my cell here. And I just wanted to clarify a couple things and also bring a couple of things to the table that some of you efficiency guys may have not considered. First off, I'm not into efficiency at all. I'm trying to build me a cell that's small, compact, and puts out a lot of gas. And to do that, you pretty much got to throw efficiency to the wind. Kind of like the drag engine on a car. It ain't efficient, but they can sure throw out some power. The first thing I want to start with is my connections. You can see here I have silver soldered connections on all four corners of my end plates with a total of 8 connections. Now the reason why I do that is because of a circumstance that sets itself up in these cells. A lot of people haven't considered the stainless steel losses and electrical heating of their cell. People are telling me my cell is going to heat up and catch on fire and all this. Well, some people haven't considered the fact that some of the heat coming from their cell is not from the inefficiency of the electrolyte or the plate configuration, but in fact from the manner your electrodes are connected to the stainless steel. As you can see here, I placed some dotted lines that represent the active conductive cross-sectional area of a connection of a single electrode like that. First of all, not only are just these little electrodes not very good for running high amperage because they themselves have very low surface area and actual contact with the metal, but stainless steel itself is not a good conductor at all. So even if you had it soldered onto this end, you're still only allowed to use the area represented by that small line to allow the current to flow into your entire cell. Now this in itself causes significant inefficiencies. A gentleman that was in a discussion with Smart Scarecrow was talking about stainless steel connector cables that he used in his cell, and he had a 2 volt drop in his connectors, which ended up with the 200 watts of heating in his wires of his stainless steel cables. So the same thing is happening on your guys' connections. You are losing a lot of heat energy because of the resistance stainless steel has with conducting current. Now on my cell, one of the reasons why it's not going to get as hot as a lot of people have said it is because every corner on every end plate has a silver soldered connector. I don't use the end clamp things. They're actually mechanically connected on every edge. So that alone is going to reduce the amount of heating that my cell is going to see at high amperage. Everyone's telling me that I'm not going to be able to run this cell over about 30 amps. But the reality of the matter is, if you do a little research on industrial cells, most of them operate on the order of 5 watts per square inch, which is 4 kiloamps per cubic meter. Because this darn thermometer, I should have never connected this thermometer on here. I don't know why I did that. But anyway, what this does is it has coils of copper tubing running inside the tube that allow water from my faucet to circulate through it. So I get about 50-degree water. I screw this in the faucet, and it has a drain hose here, and that's what cools off the cell. But just to give you an idea of what type of temperatures we'll see. And another thing, before I fire this up, I forgot one last page I got to show you here. Another thing that's different from my cell, which is why I can run more amps in my cell than a lot of you efficiency guys can in yours, for a given size that is because an incident that's taken place in between your plates is that bubbles are occupying the space that would normally be allowing the current to flow. Now the fact that surface area is taken away from these plates by the presence of a bubble is called polarization, and it is not the real culprit for amperage drop. What really makes the amperage drop is the available flow channel of current through the spaces in between the bubbles. When current starts trying to travel through the walls of bubbles and stuff like that, that's when your amperage drops. It has nothing to do with the available surface area. Because basically what happens is it just shifts the energy density per area. It just changes where the current goes. The actual culprit in reducing current flow is in the narrowing of these orange areas. I run on a 2mm gap, which is a little bit bigger than what most people run, which allows me to thrust the water out with the pump. Now, when you use a high flow pump to blast these bubbles off, what happens is they don't have time to get very big, which maintains a larger orange area for current flow. That is the major reason for heating up in a cell, is because if you have just a slow lagging flow of water through here, your bubbles have time to get bigger. So, having said those things, I'm just trying to explain to... Okay, there's 61 amps down to 50 amps. It's staying right around 48 amps, and that's a really strong electrolyte. When the water heats up, it'll pull a lot more current than that. And to give you an idea of what type of bubbles I get at that, I do have a slight leak in that radiator, so it's not doing real good, but good enough to do small work with. I am now at 50 amps, 51 amps. Temperature of the cell is at 93 degrees. Okay. There's 70 amps. Down to about 55 amps right there. Fairly long flame. Quite sure how long that is. I'm showing about 12, 13 centimeters. It's getting so high pressure it's blowing out on me now. There's 56 amp flame, and this torch is just too small for that. So I'm going to shut that off. My electrolyte temperature is 95 degrees. Here goes. 58 amps. I'm at 60 amps. 61 amps. Yeah, that's a crazy looking tip I got there. Not as long because it's spraying a little different, but ooh. So there's 62 amps on that. It'll run continuous at about, yeah, I'm way too high on pressure there. I'm at about 10 psi's. So this torch ain't gonna work. I need something that'll allow a higher flow than that. I'm gonna end that there. I'm up to 100 degrees. Still haven't even really needed to fire up that radiator yet. But once I do that, it'll cool down significantly. I'm going to go ahead and post this. I just wanted to mainly talk about the stainless steel losses for you people who are interested in efficiency and all that. And 60 amps is where I'm at so far on this. And based on the amount of electrolyte that I'm getting in here, I don't think I want to put any more. I'm already